mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from many and all corners of the nerd universe, and we take your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest this week is a friend of the Nerd Culture family. Our paths have crossed numerous times on other podcasts in and around the interwebs. He collects all things. He's heard it all. He has seen it all. He's done it all, and he's only 21. No, I'm kidding. He's a bit older than that. But please welcome a man-child known as Buehler. George Buehler, the host of Fanatic Forum. George, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hello, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. Now, if you have any questions for George Buehler during the course of this program, let us know in the comments. It never gets old. Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the comments. Our producer is going to be monitoring it as you go throughout the course of this very program. And don't forget to like and share this video with all 200 of your closest friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. We guarantee it. So, George, first things first, let's go back for a minute here. How were you introduced to the world of comics?
Let's see. I was about 3 years old, and Dad bought me a book. Basically, I'm not sure if he grabbed it at the drugstore or the grocery store or whatever else, but it was Avengers 163. And he basically kind of gave me, I was like, oh, hey, I used to be in these when I was a kid, and I thought you might like them. And that was really the beginning of it. From there on, it would basically be like, I would get books at the drugstore, department store, whoever had a spinner rack or a magazine rack that would have comics. Because, where I grew up in Southern Indiana in the late 70s and the early 80s, we didn't have comic book stores, period. If I was driving or if my folks would be in Louisville, there was comic book stores there. But for the most part, it was just spinner racks at drugstore, stuff like that. But yeah, it was Avengers 163. That was where it all began. I still have that book too.
Oh, you do? Okay, because that was going to be a bit of a follow-up there. So you're already jumping ahead a few steps. Thanks. You see the map. No, it's cool. It's fine. It happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us, doesn't it, folks? It probably does. What would you say were some of your favorite movies or TV series growing up? Anything spring to mind?
My earliest memory was seeing Star Wars at the drive-in. So that also kind of sparked something there. It was during the 78 re-release, because, of course, when originally Star Wars released, it was a massive hit in Memorial Day 77. And so for fun, 20th Century Fox said, well, let's release it next summer and see if it does the same thing. And it did. Actually, I think it may have got close to doubling the box office, because it was just, oh, hey, it's back. I didn't get to check it out, or I'll get to see it, because it was kind of one of those things, since there wasn't a lot to do. When Star Wars and when Smokey and the Bandit came out to theaters, both of those were like, how many times have you gone to see those movies? Kind of movies. So it was a fun thing to do. Seeing Star Wars at the drive-in, my parents said I was captivated and silent the entire movie. So that definitely started something there. My dad was a Star Trek fan growing up, and so he watched a lot of Star Trek. I casually like Star Trek. I mostly like the movies, the original cast movies, but I was never really a hardcore into those shows or anything like that. So I was definitely into a lot of the Saturday morning cartoons, especially anything that was superhero, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever else. Definitely pro wrestling when I got maybe about 11 or 12. That definitely took up some Saturday mornings as well. But yeah, I was definitely, a lot of those. Hardcore Muppet Show and Looney Tunes guy as well. So watch both of those religiously. Later on in the 80s, for some reason, I couldn't watch the A-Team because I think that was on a weekday night and it was past my bedtime. So I enjoy A-Team, but I very rarely got to see it when it was actually on back in the day, unless it was during the summer and reruns. But I love Miami Vice because that was on Friday nights. I could stay up there. So yeah, I watched Miami Vice hardcore. There's a picture of me in the eighth grade, my eighth grade like school picture, and I'm doing my best Sonny Crockett impersonation. They've got the white linen suit, kind of a cheap version of it. I think like a pink T-shirt, and my hair is very, beachy kind of style to it. So there you go.
I like this. This is good. I appreciate you answering the question. These are some good picks, man. My gosh.
Yeah.
This some people have different feelings about this, and that's okay because that's the beauty of filmmaking. But here's the deal. What would you say are some of your favorite comic book based films, past or present?
Definitely in the past, the 78 Superman. That also hit at a great time. The marketing campaign for that was tremendous. The You Will Believe a Man Can Fly. That was kind of like state of the art, sort of, special effects they were using to make Christopher Reeve fly. So growing up with the Superman movies, those were my favorites. Strangely enough, the 89 Batman made me mad because I was a Batman fan more than I was a Superman fan as the comics went. And when they made Joker the guy who killed his parents, I'm like, nope, that is wrong. No, sir. And then that just killed the movie for me. I was with it the whole time. And then when they made Jack Napier kill his parents, I'm like, nope.
Wow. So the flashback sequence, tell me, kid, you ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight? That was a cool line, cool scene, but I'm like, nope. No, sir, that is not Joker's story. No, sir. So in video gaming terms, you rage quit and walked out of the theater.
No, I let's see, was that was another drive-in movie. So no,
you couldn't walk out of the theater because that was your ride home.
That was my ride home, yeah. But
you couldn't leave.
It definitely killed the movie for it. I was into the hype. I was looking forward to it. I had the big poster with just the all black with the symbol, that I was all raring to go. And that scene killed the movie for me. And I appreciate it a little more now. I like Batman Returns better as the two Tim Burton go.
That's a hot take.
It's a much darker film and a much more interesting movie. And I love the take on what they did with Penguin as well. Just kind of like a little bit more of his backstory. But yeah, I kind of appreciate Batman Returns a little bit more, but I think it's because they didn't screw around too much with the characters like they did with Joker. Because that just, I just had just a mad on for that movie for years. And what helped heal it was when they did the Heath Ledger performance in Dark Knight. I'm like, that's Joker.
He's anarchist, doesn't care, chaos, blood running through the streets. He doesn't care. He just enjoys it because, as our good friend Alfred Pennyworth once said, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. And just that line, and then Joker's own line of, I'm kind of like a dog chasing a car. When I get it, I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. Those two lines sum up the Joker. Because, what if he ever did kill Bruce and find out, Batman's Bruce Wayne? What would he do with that? Would it just completely just shut him down? He'd never do crime again. He'd, disappear. Would he, kill himself? I mean, what would he do with that information? So those two characters are, for some reason just linked and will be always linked. But it's only because they kind of share a bit of a similar psyche.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Between Batman and the Joker. Once again, we're talking with host and producer of Fanatic Forum, known as George Buehler, on this episode of And I Quote. Make sure you like and share this video with all 300 of your closest friends. If you have any questions for George, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. We would like to hear from you. If you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. We do greatly appreciate it. You think Batman Returns is a hot take? Gee whiz, man.
I got more.
Lord knows George may have more as this program continues. Batman Returns over 89's oh gosh. Listen, here's the thing. Anyone who's known me for more than 5 consecutive minutes knows I'm also a Batman fan myself. But here's the thing. I don't mind the creative liberties that certain movies take with characters. It doesn't bother me because comic books are one medium, movies are another. And movies are adaptations. They are not word for word, bit for bit, page for page. Adaptations, because you can't do that, because that's just you're just copying the same thing. If people want to read something, read it in a comic book. If you want to see something in a movie that's a bit different, go check out the movie. There's nothing wrong with it. But Batman Returns, dude, I got to be honest with you. I rewatched that film and I realized this is nothing but a Tim Burton film. It's not even a Batman film.
So, yeah, it's very much Tim Burton film.
It's a Tim Burton. It's not a Batman movie to me. I mean, Penguin. Penguin and Catwoman have their moments. Do not get me wrong. Meow. She just flips and everything just explodes. That's come on. That's classic right there. Do not get me wrong. But whiz.
Well, I see your point with
creative liberties being
material
taken.
being changed a little bit like that. For me, like a great excuse for that working are the Blade films. Originally, Blade was not a half human, half vampire. He, his mother did give birth while she was dying of a vampire bite wound. And as a result, he has kind of this sixth sense. He kind of can sense when vampires are present and he's immune to their bites. But that wasn't his only powers back in the day. And then the comics, after the popularity of the movies, like, oh, we'll go ahead and just adapt that. And there you go. That's how Blade is now in the comics.
Really?
But that was something that worked. It made sense. For me, why I had such a mad on about Batman 89 and Joker killing his parents is that with Joe Chill doing it and without, sometimes writers will do like a greater conspiracy or whatever else. But if you take the original way it was done, Joe Chill was just a random crook. It didn't mean anything to him. He didn't even know those were the Waynes because it was a dark, alley. He just saw rich people. He saw a pearl necklace and he's like, there's some quick bucks.
I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I know this is a different film, but in the DC Snyder universe with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, say what you will about the film, but I got to be honest. That flashback sequence with Bruce growing up and then losing his parents, when he loses his parents and the score and the whole thing just going and like it's slow-mo. I'm not a big fan of slow-mo, but when it's used well, it's used well. And even though I didn't like what Zack Snyder did with his director's cut of Justice League on HBO Max, half that film was slow-mo, Zach. Get over yourself. But the Bruce Wayne parents' murder sequence was so well done. Well done. I don't care what anyone says. That is some good cinematography right there. By the way, someone by the name of Comics by the Bay chimes in. He says, sup, guys. Good to see you too, Comics by the Bay. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure what your real name is, but I appreciate a comic book store when I see one. So Comics by the Bay? I wonder where you're located. Let us know.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Comics by the Bay. Which bay? Is it near the Chesapeake Bay here where I am in the state of Maryland, or is it somewhere else? I don't know. Let somebody else figure that. But thank you for being here, and thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good Lord, this is going to turn into a Batman discussion. Don't do it. Because I did it last week, and I got to stop doing this. So outside of I'm Batman, George, when it comes down to it with Batman 89, just do me a favor. Never rub into the man's rhubarb, okay? Just never do that. Comics by the Bay says we are located at Space Coast of Florida. Okay. Cool. Wow, the Sunshine State's in the building. Good to see you. Thank you for being with us. Do appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. Appreciate it. Anywho,
and if you're in the Florida area, go check out Comics by the Bay.
There you go. That's another way of, hey, free marketing, folks. Free marketing. Rising tide lifts all ships, as a wise person once said. That being said, George, what would you say are some of your favorite comic book writers or artists, past or present? Any names ring to you?
Classically, as writers go, Roy Thomas, because he wrote a lot of the Avengers stuff I grew up on. John Romita Sr. Those are great artists there that I definitely grew up on. Later on, I got into Bill Sienkiewicz because he's very dark and sketchy and sort of thing like that. So I've always loved his style. Bernie Wrightson because I'm a horror fan. So when you think classic horror, I instantly think Bernie Wrightson. Later on, as writers go, definitely had a big Garth Ennis period and a Brian Michael Bendis period. Kind of got burnt out on Bendis though. His DC period is not a big fan of that. But currently, James Tynion IV, probably one of the best writers in the business right now, and that guy is writing all the books. If he's not writing all the books, then like Chip Zdarsky, another one of my favorite writers, he is. So these guys are prolific, just great stuff. James tends to write a lot of horror stuff, especially for DC and for some independents, and he's got a lot of hit books right now. Nice House on the Lake, Something is Killing the Children, House of Slaughter. So yeah. Let's see here. As other artists go, Mike Grell was always a favorite of mine too. Current artists, I've gotten to know a lot of John Boy Myers stuff. He's mostly a cover artist, but he's very dynamic, very very much living. These are living pieces, sort of stuff here. Greg Capullo over my shoulder here. That's probably my all-time favorite Batman artists. Alex Ross back here.
He's a boss.
Yeah, I am a little leery of the new Fantastic Four series that's coming out. I'm not sure, but what is drawing me to the fact is that Alex Ross is doing the covers for at least the first few issues. So I'm like, ooh, yeah, okay. I'm a sucker for anything Ross. So let's see here. Jim Steranko was always a favorite of mine. It was a dream to finally get to meet him, even though he is an octogenarian these days. But I had about a 40-minute conversation with him. He didn't want to do an interview on camera or anything like that, but he was kind enough. I talked with him for 40 minutes, and it was just glorious. Kind of those things like when they say, never meet your heroes. I've had the fortune of meeting a lot of my heroes, and it's been good so far. So there's still like, if as directors go, if I ever get a chance to meet John Carpenter or Quentin Tarantino, those will, like if I meet either one of those, then I could probably die happy, because I've met a lot of my musical heroes, a lot of comic book people, a lot of wrestling people. Some wrestlers I would have liked to have met, but they've already passed on. But for the most part, I've met a lot of really cool ones, and even ones I didn't really expect to be cool. And they're like, "Oh, I'm now a fan of yours just because I met you in person, and you were, it was a good experience." So, but yeah, so it's I've had the fortune of getting to meet some interesting folks, and it's. If you approach it well enough, I've always said to folks, like, if you come in looking like you're happy to see them, and you're a fan and you're just amazed to be in their presence, then chances are you will have a good experience. But if you come in like you got a bone to pick with somebody, why would you want to spend money meeting a celebrity than want to have an argument with them? But that's somebody else's issue. But I genuinely come in with a very positive attitude, and I'm happy to see them, and so it's always worked out pretty well for me.
Oh, fair enough. Once again, we're talking with host and producer of Fanatic Forum, George Buehler, here on this episode of And I Quote. Thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget to like and share this video with all 400 of your closest friends. If you have any questions for George, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you are watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. With that being said, when did you decide to become a podcaster, George?
It's honestly something I kind of fell into. I had an 18-year career in broadcasting, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. I started out behind the scenes, doing a lot of production stuff. And then one year, I was trying to think, that was probably like 6-7 years ago, we had a convention that one of our other stations, it was a CW affiliate. We have like 3 stations that are our company, essentially. And so one of them is a CW affiliate. And so we were going to represent ourselves at this con. And so I was like, well, hey, I'll volunteer to work the booth, because I watched some of these shows and I know comics, so I could, do that. And they're like, oh yeah, great, thanks. And so I'm out there for a Saturday and a Sunday.
I think we may have a... Oh, you there, George? I think we're having a technical snafu back here. Oh, there you are. Oh, you okay now? I think you froze on us.
Yeah, I don't know why I froze up here. I'm on a landline.
Gee whiz. I'm sorry. So you were saying that there was a booth there with 3 different CW stations and whatnot?
Yeah. Our company has 3 different stations, or the company I work for had 3 different stations in their under their umbrella, and one of them was a CW affiliate, WBKI, and so we are out to the convention representing that station, and so I volunteered to work a couple of days of the convention, and so I think it was one of the Saturday afternoon. One of the convention people who worked for the con was going around and filming all the different vendors. What are you here? What are you promoting? Sort of thing like that. So they came around to our booth and like, hey, can we talk to somebody? And everybody's like, oh, talk to George. He knows everything. So I'm like, okay. So, and so at the time, the big thing we were promoting was Supergirl was moving from CBS to the CW. So this would have been going into her second season. So that was our big thing we were promoting. So I was talking about that, and the fall lineup had already been released. So we had little cards to do that. So I was literally just, rattling off information, but I was able to do it in a conversational sort of way. And I think like the following Monday or whatever else, I got called into one of our manager's offices, and he's like, "Hey, you've been holding out on me." I was like, "For what are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh," when he shows me the video, he's like, "This is awesome." He's like, "Did you plan this at all?" I was like, "No, they literally just walked up and, wanted to talk about this stuff." And I was on a break, I'd been shopping around at the con, and I just literally walked up like, "Oh, hey, talk to George. He knows all the CW stuff." And I had no time to prepare. That was literally just off the top of my head, what I've been saying all day. And he's like, "Well, that was amazing, and we need to do this, to promote the station." So that's when the Fanatic chat was born, and I became the WBKI Fanatic. And so it took a little bit of time to get that all together and get kind of a budget and a team for all that. But yeah, I started doing a weekly podcast on the station's Facebook page, where basically I would interact with fans, talk about the shows from week to week, let them know some things that were upcoming, or maybe a little bit of, spoiler stuff here, or, here's something maybe you didn't know or didn't hear about. So, because I would literally just, peruse the web and peruse everything I could, and just kind of, I didn't have any actual contacts or any, I wouldn't say support from the CW, but they weren't cluing me in on anything. So this is all stuff I would just find online. But yeah, I did that for a good number of years, and things were going great, and then the pandemic hit. And so definitely that put a hamper in being able to talk about things week to week, because a lot of the shows were on pause, and then things were kind of changing all over the station. Workflows were changing, whatever else, and also I'd seen kind of a little bit of time where support within the station was waning a bit. Because it was a niche audience sort of thing like that, but still nonetheless, it was promoting the station. But it was time to, I kind of saw the writing on the wall a little bit early on. And it was time to go. So I left, and after I left and, announced I was, leaving the show, and, we weren't going to have it anymore. And I kind of got a lot of response from, my audience who were like, "Oh, that's sad to see you go. You should do something on your own." And so kind of hearing that enough for several months, and I'm like, okay. And so then I guess it was a year ago, September, the Fanatic Forum was born. So I didn't have the Fanatic name kind of, that wasn't being contracted or anything like that. So it was no problem being able to use it. I just couldn't use any of the station's call letters that I didn't work for anymore anyway. So it's like, well, the Fanatic will be reborn then, and it's my own show. I can talk about whatever I want to. So I definitely, my all-time passion is comic books. So I talk about new comic books every week. And then from there, it's kind of whatever my topic is that week. Sometimes I'm talking about movies in theaters or stuff to come, or, TV shows or wrestling or whatever else. I'm a big video game fan. I haven't done any video game shows yet, so I need to fix that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the forum is. I welcome people, like, much like your show, to, chat and comment and throw up other topics, or, if they want to discuss something, or, they want to test the Fanatic's knowledge, I'm welcome to it all. So, yeah.
Yeah, and our paths have crossed numerous times already, and I'm sure we will again somewhere down the line. And even though Egon keeps telling us, don't cross the streams, why? It could be bad. I'm a little fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad? Try to picture all life as you know it suddenly, I don't remember the line exactly, I apologize, but like suddenly being sucked in or whatever it is.
All at once.
Yeah, being destroyed all at once. Total. And then Ray looks at him and says, total platonic reversal. Okay, so that's bad. Okay, got it. Thanks, Egon. So speaking of the 80s, there's a flashback for you right there. Gee whiz. Oh, boy. Oh, no. George, did you freeze again? Oh, boy. What is it with technology these days? It can be a bit fickle, if you know what I mean. That being said, George, feel free to jump out and jump back in if you have to, whatever the case may be. But once again, we are talking with George Buehler, producer and host, I should say, of Fanatic Forum here on this episode of Anti-Quote. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. We guarantee if you have any questions for George, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. We're going to be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of this program. George, are you back again?
I am. My apologies for I don't know why I'm freezing up here.
You had one job and you keep messing this thing up. Are your cats fiddling with the wiring back there?
They're not. I mean, I've got two here, but they're both sound asleep. So it's that time of the day where they're just going to be inactive because we're post lunch here. So,
gee whiz.
Never mind. There's some leaves blowing. One's awake now. So. But.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, something. One of those cats are out of the bag. Even so, there's a pun. That being said,
it is storming here, so I don't know. Maybe that has any effect on things or not. But yeah.
Okay. Well, just be safe. That's all we can tell you out there. For those of you who are going through that,
wind and rain. But yeah, I'm. My apologies for the freeze up here. You have to see the side of my neck for a while there. So.
It's gee whiz. It's okay. What would you say are some of the biggest rewards about being a podcaster here, George? What do you think?
Oh, definitely all the different, friends I've made through the show, different, people I've met. A great example of that would be Dave Mattingly, who's a, friend of the Cereal Box Network that we're all kind of, contributors to. He was a fan of my old show, the Fanatic Chat, and when I started the Fanatic Forum just by myself, and he became a fan of that, and he's the one that basically introduced me to John Pica, who runs the Back of the Cereal Box Network, and says it's a crime that you two guys don't know each other. And so he introduced us, and that's how I became part of the Cereal Box Network. So people like Dave Mattingly is the prime reason why I do this, because I love being able to talk shop with other geeks, or being able to make this a safe, there you go. Being able to make this a safe place to, talk to people about this stuff. And I try to do it without judgment as well. Even if there's something I don't like, I'll give you a good reason why I don't like it, not just flat out, I don't like this because there's girls in it, or I don't like this because, whatever else. I'm usually very open about my opinions about stuff, but I don't want to necessarily rain on anybody else's parade. I'm not a Doctor Who fan, but there's millions of other people who are Whovians, and you know what? I'm not going to be the one to rain on their parade. It's you guys enjoy your Doctor Who. I'm going to be over here doing something else.
Mm-hmm. No, that's all of that is fair. I mean, I don't understand the Whovians either. Another thing I don't understand is D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. I don't get it. Never will.
See, that's where we differ, because I love D&D.
I just don't understand it. But, once again, congratulations on your show thus far. You've joined up with Back at the Cereal Box Network, and then they give you special things like this. I mean, look how big that marquee is with that face and the name and stuff. So this is your show. That's every week, right?
That is, yeah. Well, I have to thank my friend Jared Halal from Crescent Moon Marketing. He's the one who designed my logo and also designed a lot of the graphics that I've used for the show, and also my open. And then Dr. Joseph Dangerfield was the one who composed my theme music. So I have to thank him as well. So it's a team effort. And the photo there was one of my old press photos from my old TV days there. So I just thought, hey, there you go. There's a good photo of me there. So I cropped it out, but I'm literally standing next to John Wesley Shipp, the OG Flash from the 80s TV show. So I got a pleasure of interviewing him, and anybody who's an actor that's CW adjacent or has been on a CW show, they love their affiliates. And so they're very happy to do interviews, do station IDs, all that good stuff. And Mr. John Wesley Shipp was a mensch. He did everything we wanted him to do and was a wonderful guy, took all the photos with the crew and everything. So yeah, but it was sad I had to cut him out of that photo there. But yeah, I was standing next to John there. That's why my smile was very big there.
Nothing personal, John. Quick sidebar here. I did meet John Wesley Shipp myself at a convention up in the state of Pennsylvania here on the northeast coast of the US of A. And what happened was he was coming back from his pro photo ops. So there was this long line at his booth, right? So he was coming back from his pro photo ops at the time, and I was in his line at this point. He comes through and he says, I'm sorry I'm late, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm going to get to each and every one of you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm going to get pictures on it. Whatever you guys need, I'll do it. And he was like shaking almost everybody's hand in line. He's like, I'm sorry. Good to see you. How you doing? What's going on? How you been? I was like, oh my goodness, this guy as a celebrity, whether he's a celebrity guest or whatever, he's just a nice, genuine guy.
Yep.
So, I got up to his booth, we shook hands, we got a picture together, we got an autograph. I think it's on my Instagram. If you go to my Instagram, it's there. If not, it's on my Facebook page. Check that out. I was actually wearing a Flash t-shirt at the time.
Nice.
So, because when I get these photo ops, I try to make sure that I wear the right wardrobe for each photo.
Of course, yeah.
Whoever I'm standing next to, whoever it may be, depending on the property, of course, because there have been actors who have starred in multiple properties, not just one.
Yeah.
But I was asking John Wesley Shipp, not only, a bit about The Flash, but I mostly asked him, what was it like filming Neverending Story 2, the next chapter? Because he played Bastion's father.
Yeah.
In that movie. The Neverending Story 2, the next chapter. If you've never seen the film before, it is streaming on HBO Max. # not a sponsor. The first 2 of the 3 Neverending Story movies are on HBO Max, actually. But anyway, you can stream those whenever. So,
I didn't realize it was a third.
There was a third, but they recasted everybody, of course, because they did it with the second one as well. They recasted everybody because the kids who were in the first one were too old to play the characters in this one, I guess. And they didn't want to make it too far out from the events of the first one. That's why they had to recast, new, younger actors.
Okay.
Because I think it was a discussion of the timeline. If you want to do some research on that, I think it's on Wikipedia.
Okay.
But anyway, I asked him, I said, what was it like filming the movie? He says, well, we filmed the exterior, the exteriors up in like Vancouver, I think it was, like in Canada or whatever it was. And then we filmed the exteriors overseas, and then we filmed the interiors in a completely other place. Oh my gosh, you filmed in so when you're inside the house, that's in one spot, and then the exteriors are all in a completely different city and like country. And he's like, yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, man, that's wild.
It is wild, but it's not as...
It's not uncommon.
Yeah, it really isn't. Because even... I'm completely off topic here. I'm listening to the Office Ladies podcast. I'm a big fan of that TV show. And
sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun because it's hosted by Jenna Fisher, who played Pam, and Angela Kinsey, who played Angela. So 2 of the stars of the show were talking about their experience doing the show, and they were pretty much in every episode. So it was awesome. But yeah, they spoke often about how they're shooting, like the office scenes are at this one place in California. And, anytime they'd have to do like other places, they're like, they're going to this location, or even sometimes when you think they're in the same building, it's not only in a different building, it's sometimes in a different city or even sometimes a different state, so there's always some crazy stuff they do. Or like one of my favorite things in movies of kind of changing locations, you don't know they're doing it, is one of the opening scenes from Escape from New York. So you're seeing the exterior of the Statue of Liberty, and there's the military. They're all out there, and the helicopters and all the things going on there. And there's that long, slow pan that goes past the Statue of Liberty, and then you come into seeing like the interior office of like this headquarters or whatever else, right? So while obviously the Statue of Liberty stuff was shot in New York, that interior was in California.
See, movie magic.
Literally all they did was move past a black screen, a black exterior, and somebody was going inside of things, so you couldn't see past the wall. But then when we go in, not only are we in a new location, we're in a completely different side of the country.
The amazing things we learned about behind the scenes of your favorite shows or movies. Feel free to look up these documentaries. I'm sure a lot of them have been posted either on YouTube or your friendly neighborhood podcast feeds, respectively. But once again, we are talking with host and producer of Fanatic Forum, which is a part of the Back of the Cereal Box Network, known as George Buehler, here on this episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. And if you have any questions for George, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. If this is your first time being here with us, thank you so much for doing so. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, we greatly appreciate it. On the other side of the coin, though, George, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being a podcaster?
Definitely technology. As we've learned. As we've learned from this show, yeah.
Jinx, buy me a Coke. I said it twice.
You got it, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's been always my biggest foible. Thankfully, having a background in TV and working behind the scenes for a number of years before getting in front of the camera, I literally learned by watching, learned by osmosis, whatever else. So I got a good, grasp on lighting, presentation. I've noticed there's a lot of, podcasters especially on YouTube, stuff like that, who enjoy screaming a lot. And it's like, well, it's fine to raise your voice occasionally or to speak in a nice, loud, clear tone. You don't want to scream at your audience. That's bad. So
Don't want to burst out an eardrum.
yeah, because you never know how the audience is actually listening. I mean, they could just be listening through their phones. They could have earbuds in. They're watching their TV. Doesn't matter. But either way, it's like, yeah, there's some definite do's and don'ts. And thankfully, my background in television has kind of worked out a lot of the don'ts. So that was very helpful. But yeah, technology has always been a big challenge. Sometimes just, for me personally, just kind of coming up with ideas because I kind of want to keep the show fresh, each week and talk about something new or draw an audience to what I'm doing. But sometimes I just, I got new books each week. I can definitely talk about that. But it's like if there's not a lot of news, going on that's in the geek world or nothing coming up, then sometimes the challenge is to come up with a topic. So, of course, I mean, I'm, by myself too. I like to have co-hosts on because it's more fun to talk with somebody than it is to talk to myself. But I mean, people have different schedules, and I'm on, Eastern time, so people aren't available. It's 7 o'clock on Friday nights, and
whatever. Out at the bars having a drink.
Yeah, or people are just getting home from work, or whatever else the case may be. So,
or they're going out with their loved ones for dinner.
Yeah, they're out having lives.
That's very true. But if you ever need a co-host, I think Andrea from the Cosplay Cafe and myself are always available. So just let us know. I mean, and if you don't know what we're talking about, I think there was an episode. I think it was Fanatic Forum, George. I think it was where it was me, and Andrea, and we just jibber jabbered forever. I mean, granted, I had to leave early at one point because I had a prior engagement, but then you and Andrea stuck around, and you guys kept going for like another 45 minutes or an hour. And I'm thinking, what do they even need me for?
That episode was
and just when he's about to tell us how historic and great that episode was, unfortunately George is having once again technical difficulties, but he will return momentarily. Gee whiz. George, is this weather just taking its toll on you in your studio back there?
No, I guess. Good Lord.
So you were saying that show was so great that it ended up what? What was the last thought that came to your mind about that show?
The show went over an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You were there for the first hour of it. And
first
then,
half,
and then Andrew and I went on for another 45 minutes talking about other just random stuff. So I think there was a central topic. I don't remember what it was. But
you'd have to go back and look.
But that was just a great example of the best case of what I want for the forum, where you have just people on there talking about things they're passionate about, having a good time, having an open forum, and feeling free to discuss, what you want to, and just, be a proud geek, because I'm a very proud geek myself. I wear it on my sleeve constantly here, so you can see all my stuff, various things behind me.
And that T-shirt, real quick, does it say the word joust on it? What exactly is that?
Yes, this is one of my favorite old school video games. So the object of joust, you're in kind of this like weird fantasy world, and you are riding an ostrich, and you are combating with other flying knights, and they're on like these flying lizards. And so the whole thing is you basically have to like get higher up than them and kind of bop them on the head. That's how you defeat them. The lizard just turns into this egg, and you have to essentially kind of pick up the eggs before it rehatches into another lizard, and then a guy can get back on there, and there you go. So, but yeah, just one of those clever little 80s video games back in the classic, gaming days. Missile Command's another favorite of mine. Burger Time. Those are some of my old school favorites. And then like later on, definitely, getting like the Mortal Kombat series, Resident Evil, any of the survival horror stuff. I love the survival horror games. Recently, I've been getting into the Dark Pictures series, which are very cinematic games. It literally is like you're playing a movie. But so the fun thing is that they get like real actors to come in and play a character. So you have a recognizable face, like it is a movie, but you make choices, and your choices affect your relationships with the other characters in the game. They affect what's going to happen. So it's kind of almost like very much like a choose your own adventure, but in a video game form. But yeah, there's, I think, 4 or 5 games in the series right now. So I've been having fun playing those. So yeah. So yeah, I've been a gamer since there were video games. Basically, my folks, we bought a Pong machine and so it wasn't even called Pong. It was like table tennis or video tennis or whatever else. But it had Pong, and then it had 4 games, and basically the 4 games were like, here's player versus player, or a 2-player game where you could have 2 people on one side and 2 people on the other, or stuff like that. So it was a very rudimentary thing, and then just kept upgrading over the years. I got into television, and then my aunt, who lived about a block away, she had an Atari, so I had kind of the best of both worlds as a child. Later on, getting a Nintendo Entertainment System, and then kind of upgrading through the Nintendos from there, and had a Sega Genesis for a while. So I mean, I've literally gone through several systems and played numerous video games. Never really was more. I play for fun. I've not been a competitive player or all into high scores or anything like that. But I've always loved video games and pinball.
There you go. We may live in one world, but George can play in the video game world. Play in ours. See, there's a slogan right there. If you know what slogan that is, let us know in the chat. Be curious to hear your thoughts. Any special memories from your show known as Fanatic Forum so far, George, in its run, or meeting other people at events, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee?
Some more recent stuff has been kind of fun. Just getting to meet all the other Cereal Box hosts, whether getting to meet a few of them in person or getting to meet the majority of everybody like online, because we're all in different states and whatnot. That's been fun, especially like the first time that John Pike and I got to do a convention together in, I think it was Bowling Green, Kentucky. Little convention, but he was going to be there, and so it was a short drive for me as well, and so that was great to get to kind of meet a bunch of the folks that he knew kind of a little bit in that area, and just kind of get to work with him in person. So that was a lot of fun. With Back at the Cereal Box recently becoming a media partner with Impact Wrestling, so we get to, if we want to, attend events and cover them for promoting for the Cereal Box Network and all that sort of thing like that. So I got to do one of those. Brought my friend and sometimes co-host Seth Moore with me. So we got to sit in on a live taping. They did 2 weeks worth of their Impact show, which airs on Thursday nights on Access TV. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was the night after a pay-per-view. So they had a pay-per-view, and then the next night they taped for the next 2 weeks of TV. So we got to see all the fallout for that, and then promoting for the next upcoming show. So yeah, we're suckers for live wrestling. And so getting to be around that was really cool too. So yeah, just for me, I'm very much, a people person, getting to meet like-minded folks, who are into geek stuff that I can really talk shop with. Cause I've spent a lot of time around normal people, being the abnormal one, being into all my stuff and being a well of pop culture knowledge. So I'm fun at parties in that regard, but getting to talk to other people who are like me is just a joy to do it. And I don't get to do it enough.
I can totally see that. And that's wonderful, wonderful stuff. Do not get me wrong. Congratulations on all of that regarding Fanatic Forum and everything else otherwise. With that being said, what are your plans for Fanatic Forum moving forward?
I definitely want to get more interviews on. I've got a couple of things in the works, a couple of artists I'm trying to get on the show to talk with them and their careers and, talk geek stuff. A couple of wrestlers I'm trying to work on to get on the show as well. So I definitely want to get some more celebrities on here. I'm amazed and impressed by your volume of people you get on, and I quote, because we've met very early on when I started with the Cereal Box Network several months ago, or actually last year, I guess, maybe, or somewhere. Time is a flat circle. So
I was going to say, it doesn't feel like time is just starting to blur a little bit.
It does a little bit. Yeah, it has for like the last 3 years. But nonetheless, whenever we met, so everybody's kind of like, oh, hey, we're kind of, exchanging pleasantries and booking each other on each other's shows. And so you want to book me on your show? I was like, absolutely, love to. And the next spot you had open for me was today. And we met like a while ago. So it's like
almost a year ago when we were planning this.
Yeah, so like you have a lot of people, and you have a very long calendar of guests. So I'm always very impressed by that.
Thank you.
So, but yeah, so just that's just good networking there. So with me, I guess maybe I need to work a little harder, with the getting to people. But it's kind of funny. It's like when I worked for a TV station, I had no problem asking celebrities for interviews because I'm like, I work for a TV station, so I had that pedigree kind of working for me. But now when it's just me, I was like, okay, well, here's just some guy who's a fan and just wants to talk to you, and would you want to do that? So. I've reached out to a lot of different people, and sometimes I get, nice responses back, and yes, and sometimes I get people like, oh, don't have availability or whatever else, something like that. And then, the worst is crickets when I just don't hear anything. I would rather you say just flat out, nah, or, whatever else. But when I just don't hear anything, it's like, okay, come on. So.
All right. Well, we wish you the best with everything moving forward. If you need any, if you need someone to fill a slot, you know where to find us. You know where to find me. You know where to find yours truly. And wish you the best with what is it? With everything concerning Fanatic Forum moving forward. Do not get me wrong. Wish you all the best. And yeah, it's hard when you're doing a show by yourself, because I host the show. I'm a one-man crew here. Yeah. But if I don't have a guest, it's tough. It's tough because doing a show by yourself is very, very challenging. So for those of you who run your individual podcast and you host it all by your lonesome, you're a lone wolf. Yeah. I admire that. I respect that, but it's not an easy thing to do because I feed off of other people's energy. I enjoy talking to other nerds or geeks, however you want to phrase it, because everyone has a different definition of this, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm interacting with somebody who works in the comic book business, maybe someone who works in the convention industry, that's fascinating to me. I want to know more. I want to know everything there is to know and soak it up like a sponge, brother. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's great. And we all learn from each other, too. That's the beauty of the interwebs. You get to learn from each other and you get to support one another. I mean, George and I, we're best friends now because of our connections within the back of the Cereal Box Network. And John Pica, I blame you for all my problems. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Skippy.
Yeah, thanks, John. We've met Andrew, we've met Crayley, we've met Kelly, we've met everyone else through the crew. Has been phenomenal, fantastic. We wish all of you well with everything moving forward. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah, Memphis and all the ladies, the Scream Queens, and
yeah. Tell me about it. But I do want to let you know that this episode and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by Poddex, the cream that rises to the top, the cream of the crop. Yeah. So exactly. We could go all day with this. If you don't know what we're doing, it's a pro wrestling imitation of Macho Man Randy Savage. If you want to know more, just click on Macho Man Greatest Promos of All Time on YouTube. It's great stuff. George, you know what I'm talking about.
Dig it.
Exactly. With that being said, pod decks are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or simply gamify their podcast. Simply shuffle up the cards, you ask a question, you let the content roll. Get yours today, George, at poddex.com, and make sure you use that promo code RYAN10. That's RYAN10, RYAN10, for 10% off your order. Definitely check out our good friends over there at Poddex. With that being said, George, first things first, what's the funniest name you could possibly think of for a pet?
Something inappropriate that I couldn't say on your show.
Okay.
But yeah, I for some reason, it is highly amusing to me to name children or pets curse words. I'm a sucker for absurdist humor. So yeah, I mean, just to yell, a-hole, or something like that, or whatever else. You make up your own curse word there. But I've never actually done it before, but I just thought it'd be hilarious. And I can never find a lady who would say, "Oh, that's a really good idea for a name for a child. Let's do that." But what
all good. No, it's all good. You can answer these questions however you may wish. So with our good friends over here at Poddex, what's something that people think makes them look cool, but actually makes them look ridiculous?
I would say smoking or vaping. Yeah. Being a former smoker, I quit years ago.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, close to like 15 years ago. Whatever. No, even longer than that. Maybe closer to 20. Anyway, it's been a long time. Yeah.
Really?
So,
I thought you were only 25.
No. I'm 46. Yeah. There you go.
Some people may think otherwise, but just taking one look at it, you're like, dude, you don't look a day over 25, maybe 30. Get out
Yeah,
of here.
this is what having no children looks like, folks. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Still got the
Yeah.
youthful look on you, but there you go. So that's what makes them look silly or ridiculous. That's
Moisturizing also helps. So, you know.
Okay. All right. No worries.
But definitely being a former smoker, smoking, is always that, that cool sort of thing. Granted, it still kind of works maybe in the movies or whatnot, depending on who the person is, or if it's done for comedic purposes or whatnot. But yeah, especially with like the vaping stuff now, it's like you look like a redneck dragon. It's like, no, not a fan.
Gee whiz, tell us how you really feel. With that being said, what is your most unusual talent?
Gosh.
See, even the cats are curious to hear your response because we can hear the cats meowing in the backstage area.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Pepper's. Come here. Someone wants to be on TV, I guess.
Hey, who's this? What's the name of this cat?
This is Pepper Potts. And very much like Tony Stark, she is my assistant and keeps me on task and yells at me constantly. So, she yells at me when it's time for dinner, yells at me when it's time for me to go to bed, and so she can run around the house like a crazy person, or just when general things are going on. She is the first one to inform me and just keep me on task. So,
aw. Hi, Pepper. Say hello to Tony for us.
Yeah, she's my bestie, but yeah, she is a stern taskmaster. So yeah, I've got 3 girls here, and she's the only one that's currently conscious right now. The other 2 are passed out. So
that's okay. That's okay. Whatever works. What was I trying to say? Oh yes, whatever works best. So I'm sorry. What was your unusual talent again?
Gosh,
your most unusual talent is the question on the board from our good friends over here at Poddex.
I would say the one people don't know as much because I don't do it as often, but I used to sing a lot.
Okay.
Puberty wrecked a lot of my range because I used to have quite a bit of range, and then that was my early singing days. But I still did a karaoke a lot back in the day. Kind of would stun some of my coworkers, because they didn't see it coming. But I haven't done it in quite a number of years, whatnot. So occasionally, if I'm alone in the car or whatnot. But yeah, I guess that was the one people didn't necessarily see coming. I mean, the geek stuff I wore on my sleeve. So being a well of pop culture knowledge, you can kind of see that coming. But yeah, I would say that because of course I did a little bit of theater in high school for, I guess, my freshman through junior year. I did theater, so I had a little bit of dance training as well. So occasionally, if I'm around some dance geeks, I can bust out a flat ball change, and they kind of like, whoa, and they didn't see that one coming at me. And that's an extremely basic, rudimentary tap move, but if you didn't think this guy could tap dance, and suddenly I'm like, hey, here you go, there's a little something there for you, a little bit of that old soft shoe there for you kids.
We're discovering all kinds of wonderful things about our guest of the week here on And I Quote, George Buehler, host and producer of the Fanatic Forum. So our good friends over here at Poddex want to know, what is the weirdest thing you find attractive within a person?
I'm definitely much more connected to who the person is, if they're an intelligent person, if I can have a conversation with them. And definitely if they've got a dark sense of humor, I'm very much attracted to that. Because I've got, I'm a very nice person. I like to treat people well, but I also take great pleasure in some good old fashioned Schadenfreude, and physical comedy, and just some dark stuff that almost some people would consider like maybe even evil humor, whatnot. But sometimes I just find that just absurd, because again, I love absurd humor. So the more absurd it becomes, the more I find it humorous. Thankfully, I've got a lovely wife who also finds that sort of stuff funny. If there's a video of people falling, that's instant comedy for her. So So it's nice to find a like-minded person like that. But yeah, I'm much more because looks fade as time goes. So I have to be attracted to the person. I have to be attracted to their mind, to be able to talk to them, and to definitely. I mean, we can't necessarily share all of our interests or hobbies or whatever else. But if you share somewhat of a personality trait with them, or a warped sense of humor, then you can get along.
There you go. My goodness, some good mic drop moments here on this episode of Anti-Quote. I'm impressed, my friend. If you had a personal mascot, what would it be?
Are we talking like a cartoon or animal character, or
Could be
like
anything.
It could be anything.
Could be anything you want. You can answer these questions however you may wish.
I've always been a big fan of owls. So if I had it like an animal mascot or a spirit animal, yeah, I love owls because they're seen as wise, but they also are capable of getting what they want. I guess I always appreciate their strength, but they're also very goofy. Like just the whole being able to like move your head almost 360 and just I've watched a lot of video on their behavior. Like they have a good weird sense of humor as well. So yeah, I would say an owl would be a good spirit animal for me, or a good mascot.
That is absolutely it's fair enough. It's fair enough.
Yeah, but there's also a good possibility that the owl may be dressed in either some form of spandex or like a wrestling singlet, perhaps, or I couldn't have a normal owl. It would have to be something geeked up. It's a superhero owl, a wrestler owl, an owl bear from D&D, something along those lines.
That's fair. That's fair. Dave Mattingly chimes in. He says, "Very goofy is my native language."
Hey, see, and Dave, nice to have you on here. We were just talking about you.
Yeah, I think half the show, your name may have been mentioned a few times, Dave. You're a little late to the party, but hey, listen, you can always go back and watch the replay. That's what replays are for. You're never going to miss it. If you miss something, you can always go back and watch it back through the footage. I mean, goodness, what am I trying to say? If you're watching us live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. That is what we appreciate most about you and most about the show. So, Dave, there you go. Very goofy is my native language. Fair point, man. Fair point. There's no problem with that. Move along. Move along. But jeez. With that being said, I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to George Buehler from Fanatic Forum, which is a part of the Back of the Cereal Box Network, if my memory serves me correctly, for being our guest on this week's episode of And I Quote. George, thank you so much for being here. Where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media and everything that you have coming up? What do you got?
Well, thank you very much for having me on here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I am on YouTube and Facebook. Look up Fanatic Forum or at George the Fanatic on Facebook. Go live Friday nights at 7. Every now and then I'll do something extra, but usually Friday nights at 7 is when you can catch me. Right now, don't have anything big to promote. I had a couple local cons that I was promoting last week. So lots of other Halloween fun events, but right now things are a little quiet. So that's nice there. So, but I do work at Clobbering Comics in Elizabethtown. So if you want to see me Monday through, well, actually we're not open on Mondays. I am there though, but they're Tuesday through Sundays. We're open, and so come out and buy some comics. And if I'm working there, you can chit chat with me, and all kinds of good geek talk there goes on, and other strange conversations because it's 3 dudes and we're all geeks, and sometimes some some weird topics come up. But yeah, so but I'm like I said, YouTube and Facebook. Of course, we also have all of our podcast episodes translated into audio files. So if you listen on Spotify, Apple, Audible, Google, Anchor, anything we could hear a podcast, we're on there as well. So that's where I can be found.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here, George Buehler. Do greatly appreciate it. You're a gentleman and a scholar. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Make sure you follow us on all forms of social media. All those links are located within the description of this video and every one of our videos down below. So make sure you check that out. Also, I'll let you know some upcoming events that we have. Our next movie anniversary watch along is coming up. It is actually going to be on Thursday night, November the 10th, 2022. It is the 10th anniversary of the James Bond cinematic universe film known as Skyfall, Let the Sky Fall, starring the one and only, I know, 10 years, George, 10 years.
Jeez.
It's been 10 years since that James Bond film known as Skyfall, starring the one and only Daniel Craig, came out. That is going to be held on Thursday night, November the 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook and YouTube at It's Nerd Culture. Once again, the links are located within the description of this video, so make sure you click on all those links and treat yourself. Also, Another great event coming up in the month of January. This is called the Multiverse Fundraiser, presented by our good friends over there at Bag of the Cereal Box. It is called the Ritter Rally. Now, the Multiverse Fundraiser is a free virtual convention. You can attend it from the comfort of your very own home, or in George's case, his studio with all his action figures. And we're going to have celebrity guests. We're going to have panels. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have wonderful, wonderful things being planned, and it also being called the Ritter Rally, which means that all the proceeds, the money that we raise, is going to be donated to, I believe it's the John Ritter Aortic Foundation in memory of the late, great John Ritter and his family. They are wonderful, wonderful people. We're going to do our best to support them. If you want to know more, visit that website that we have here for you in this graphic. It's www.themultiversefundraiser.com. It's going to be on January the 20th through the 22nd of 2023. So in 2023, it's a new year. It's a new month. Let's celebrate it by supporting one another and supporting the Ritter Rally for the Multiverse Fundraiser. So make sure you check that out. Lots of great things coming your way very soon. Once again, my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified when our new videos go up. And I'm trying to think, am I missing something here? I don't think so. But in the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. And remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? You understand? Who do you want me to be? You understand? Am I still missed?
Join author Gary Zeiger for an animatic short film based on his Breakaway Stingray novel series. Watch this animatic short based on the novel Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever at stingrayseries.com. In Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever, Captain Epsilon is putting the band back together to rescue his protege's little sister from the evil conglomerate, while keeping his state-of-the-art warship, Stingray, out of their hands. Watch as the adventure unfolds in the groundbreaking animatic short at stingrayseries.com. Then, join the crew of Stingray with the next novel in the series, Stingray Prophecy, where Captain Epsilon and Dr. Zubre are pivotal players in an ancient prophecy. Can they reunite the people of two worlds before they destroy each other? To learn more, visit stingrayseries.com.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
The original intention of the film was just for my personal use, but I thought, with it being such a unique thing, that I'd like to offer it to anybody who wants to see it. On the first visit, Jack took us into his another room, a separate room, and there were these brown parcels full of artwork piled up. And he said to me, "You draw like I do." We were in the studio for 5 hours, you know, it was fantastic. And there's this, he's got this desk, and everything he's ever drawn has come from this desk. And then I would just go with the flow, and that's what this film is about. It's just a unique film of him.
He says, "I beat you." He says, "They say we came in under the dead heat." He says, "That's not true because I beat you." And the American said, "Well," he says, "if you like to think so," he says, "but I know a real story." He says, I know I clearly won that one." Well, Joe is 6'3", and I was a run, from the Lower East Side. And being Joe's partner was an advantage to me because Joe was believable, you know. They would talk to Joe, and the Goodman brothers would get to know him. Martin Goodman owned Marvel at that time. He went to his mother and he says, "Look, Jackie got a job drawing." He says, "They're paying him for it. They're paying him money for drawing." He says, "Suppose I go with Jackie." He says, and he says, "They'll pay me money." He says, "I'll draw and they'll pay me money." He said, "I'll give the money to you," which we did. We gave it all to our mothers. They called me from Nassau. You know, I lived in Long Island. And they say, "Would you like to come down and draw these guys in training?" I swear, this is not a story. And I said, "Yes, of course, I'd love to come down."
Good morning. Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.